Hey everybody, so this is part 4 of my Confident Denture Wearers series, and today I'm talking about positive attitude and how I was able to stay positive through all of the different challenges and setbacks that I encountered as a denture wearer. It happens. It's not always going to be that pleasant, and it wasn't for me for sure, but I had the right mentality coming into this, and I think that that is key in helping you cope with all of these different obstacles that you might encounter. So keep watching. So if you were to look back through all of my videos and start with like the very first video that I posted in December of 2010 and just work your way up to where I'm at right now, then you would see that I have pretty much maintained this positive attitude about my whole experience. I've been very open. I have come across as being very confident, and it seems like I haven't really had to deal with any crap since I became a denture wearer, and I oftentimes refer to my experience as a very smooth one. But I'm going to tell you right now, I've gone through challenges. I've experienced pretty much all of the common issues that any other denture wearer would experience. Like after the extractions, I was in pain. My face swelled up, and on day 3, it was so bad and freaked me out so much that I went to the ER. At first, it was hard to get my dentures out. It was very uncomfortable. It was a creepy feeling to me, taking the teeth in and out, and I could hardly even get them out. The suction was so good. But at the time, it was like, how the hell am I supposed to get these out? And then the complete opposite happened, to where they won't stay in. Even with glue, like the glue isn't lasting. An hour or 2 later, you're having to reapply. I had bone shards, which were just little fragments of bone that work themselves up through your gums, and that was very painful. As a matter of fact, that was way more painful to me than the extractions were. Then, I had my first reline and everything was like great at that point, but then they started to get loose again, and it's like, I don't have the money to get them relined. And as you all recall, I was ordering cushion grip, trying to extend the life of my reline. I'm not suggesting any DIYs here, but like for me, like I had no other choice. I had to do what I had to do. So yeah, I dealt with challenges just like anybody else would. But the thing about that is you need to understand where my head was at when I finally decided that I was going to get dentures. When I made my mind up and was like, this is in my future, this is the way it has to be. I put a lot of thought into how I was going to respond to things, how I was going to approach the situation before I even got my teeth pulled. So I want to take you back to who I was as a person before I got dentures. I lived for so long with bad teeth that it completely changed how I reacted to things, how I responded to the world, how I came across as a person. Back in my dating days, a lot of guys thought that I was a bitch. I think that that's what they called me, that I was a bitch. I was stuck up because like I was, hiding my smile. I wasn't laughing at their jokes, and it's not you. I mean, you're great and everything, but like my teeth are shot. I came across as being very negative, very depressive, because I freaking was. I was living in constant misery. The pain, that the pain was one thing, to where, I accepted the fact that there was certain stuff that I was probably never going to be able to eat again. You know what I'm saying? And I really missed that. But it was what it was. I got to the point where I just had no appetite, because the idea of having to eat with my teeth the way they were and feeling that throbbing sensation in my gums is just like, I'd rather not. I'd rather go hungry. I was always an expert at pointing out every negative aspect of a situation. I always foresaw all of the doom and gloom scenarios that could potentially happen. I worried constantly. When problems would come up in my life, I was the kind of person who would complain about them. I wouldn't, I'd sometimes make, half-ass efforts at changing the situation or whatever, but there was never really any honest attempts at overcoming obstacles. I gave up very easily. I got used to giving up. Whenever the going got tough, I got going, like out of there. So knowing who I was, knowing how I responded to situations, I hit rock bottom with my teeth, and I realized that there was nothing that I could do about them. There was absolutely nothing that could be done to save them. I couldn't afford implants. If I did nothing, if I chose not to act, then I knew what was going to happen. Over the next several years, I was going to lose all of my teeth. They would fall out. They were already breaking off. That was going to continue to happen. Who knows where I would be when it happened? Who knows when it would happen? But, I'd say, 5 years down the road, I'd probably have had pretty much no teeth left in my mouth. That was not an option. I mean, it's an option, but it wasn't a viable option. I wasn't going that route. I was sick of being miserable. I was sick of feeling sick all the time. I was sick of being sad all the time. So for me, the answer, the solution was really obvious. It was like, you're gonna have to get dentures. No matter what you feel about it. Of course, I didn't want to. I didn't want to get dentures. That thought freaked me out. It scared me that I would have no teeth in my mouth and I was going to have to take my teeth out at night and soak them in a dish of water and put them back in. I mean, that just didn't seem normal to me. On one hand, I couldn't understand how I would ever be able to maintain a normal life living like that, especially at 26 years old with young kids, and I'm married and I'm young and I've got this whole life ahead of me. I didn't understand how I could make it work, but I knew that I had to make it work no matter what, because that was my cards. That's the hand that I was dealt at that time in my life. I had to accept it. I knew that if I didn't give 100% of my mental effort into accepting it and coming at it with the mentality that, you know what, I don't care what happens, no matter what these teeth look like, no matter how they make me feel, no matter what, if I can function, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to make this work, because if I don't, there goes my life. That's it. I had already gotten a nice long dose of what living in misery felt like, and it's no way to live. Nothing good comes out of it. So many missed opportunities in my life. If I carried that same mentality that I had with my teeth into having dentures, then I wasn't going to make it. I held out that shred of hope that maybe I could have a nice smile, and maybe that would be enough incentive to keep my motivation up and keep me going. But I knew that there was a chance that that wasn't going to happen, and they could have looked really messed up, and I wouldn't have been able to do much about that because we were literally spending the only bit of money we had on this. So no matter what the outcome was, I had to make it work, and I had to stay positive about it. When I had the extractions and I say, well, it didn't hurt that bad. It didn't hurt that bad because, like, in my mind, I felt like it could have been worse. Pain is context. It's all about context. You see one person who has absolutely no problem tattooing themselves from head to toe, and the next dude over here will pass out at the sight of a needle. It's all about your own perspective. So pain is not some absolute thing that affects everybody the same way. And I feel like my head was so much in the game of being positive that those things did not affect me as bad as they could. I freaked out after I left Planet Morphine and I realized, what am I dealing with here? Why do I look like this? What's up? Is this ever going to change? I freaked out. I thought my dentist made me like a bad set of teeth, but what was I gonna do if he did? What was I gonna do? Nothing. I wasn't gonna do anything. I toughed it out. I got my first reline. Everything started to settle back in. Everything was good. Dealing with looking at myself in the mirror without teeth, that could have literally ruined me. It affects everybody differently. That's the thing. You need to understand that my story is my story, and you're going to have your own story, or maybe you already have your own story, and maybe it looks nothing like mine. And that's okay, because all of us experience life so much differently. My oldest son is like me. He loves scary movies, and he loves roller coasters. Loves them. He thinks they're fun. My daughter, not at all. She can't stand scary movies. She gets freaked out too easily. She's not about roller coasters at all. They're terrifying. So who's right and who's wrong? Neither. It's just perspective. So for me, looking in the mirror and seeing myself without teeth was horrific. It just made me reflect back on every bad decision I had ever made in my life and thought, you know, this is where it's led me. This is what my life has come to. If I sat there and I looked in the mirror long enough and really allowed myself to focus on those thoughts, that's the thoughts that I would have. And it was so depressing. I can't live like that. I already did that, and I knew that it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So what I did, I had to block that out. And if I caught myself looking in the mirror too long and finding myself getting depressed, I'd just knock it off and just continue brushing my teeth that are in my hands, clean my mouth out, pop them back in, done, over, moving on. Not going to let it stop me. The pain that I got from the bone shards, I did not want to go without teeth. That was one of those things that I couldn't do. My mom, she'll pop them out at the dinner table. It's weird. I can't stand when she does that. She does it though. But for me, not at all. Not at all. Those bad boys are with me till death do us part. I don't want to be without them. So when I got the bone shards and it was really painful, I had to improvise. And again, I'm not suggesting this, but what I did was, since my gums were healed, I just like really piled on the adhesive to provide like a cushion, like kind of like a barrier, so that I could tough through it and wear them as, you know, much as I could until I could get back to the dentist, until, you know, everything had healed and it had worked itself out. So it's just about, you know, when I would experience challenges, I would find solutions. That's where all of my mental focus was at. So if you look back on my videos, you'll hear me sporadically talk about these things, but you're not going to see this full-length video rant about a problem that I'm going through. And it's not because the problems weren't there. It's because I wasn't focused on that. There's a lot of things I don't like about myself. I procrastinate. I'm chronically disorganized. I get in random moods and I don't finish what I start sometimes. But one thing about me that I do know for certain, and that I'm glad I possess this quality, is my stubbornness. And that when I set my mind to something, when I give it all of my thought and all of my attention and all of my focus, and I mentally commit to something, it is going down. It is happening. There is absolutely nothing that is going to stop me. You will have to call in the army. You will have to shoot me with an animal tranquilizer. You will have to chloroform me, because I'm not going to stop. That is how I approached getting dentures. I wasn't focused on all of those challenges that I knew could potentially arise. I wasn't really worried about that. My main focus was on not losing my shit over the fact that I was 26 years old and didn't have any teeth. That was my primary focus. That had all of my attention. So that is why you don't really hear me complaining a lot about the things that I experienced. I think that that's crucial in your success. This world isn't perfect. It's flawed. Highly flawed. If it was perfect, we would still have our teeth. The fact that we don't have our teeth should let you know that life isn't always gonna be smooth. It's just not. There's going to be times when things really suck. I mean, really suck. You are going to run into all kinds of unpleasant things in your life. Whoever told you that life was gonna be easy lied to you. There will always be challenges. This is just a small part of all of the different things you're going to have to face in life. I don't believe in luck at all. I don't believe in luck. I don't feel like life happens to people. I believe that people happen to life. I don't want to feel like, you know, woe is me and why is all of this happening to me, because I'd done that for so long and it got me nowhere. What kind of life is that? I have to choose to accept the fact that sometimes there are going to be experiences in my life that are not pleasant. Sometimes those experiences will be a direct result of the choices that I've made, and sometimes they will be things that are just completely out of my control. All of these challenges that we encounter, big, small, whatever, they're just all puppet masters pulling our strings, and we're helpless and we can't do anything about it because it's out of our control. I don't have enough money for this. This hurts really bad. I don't want to deal with this. Just all of these different things. When you tell yourself that this is what's causing me to have such a miserable life, then that thing now has the power to determine your fate in life. And I don't believe that at all. I believe that everybody in life has their own set of obstacles. No matter how much money they have, if you think that just because somebody has all this money that they never experience tough times and have to weather through storms, then you're mistaken. Every person on this planet has to deal with obstacles, and it's the people who believe that life just happens to them and that they have no power, no say in how they respond to these situations. Those are the ones who end up being the most miserable people. I know that firsthand because that was me for a long time, and I decided I'm not going to be like that anymore. I'm going to own my life, take responsibility for the decisions that I make. I'm going to attempt to control the things that I can control, make peace with the things that I can't control, or maybe just change my perspective, whatever it may be. But if you focus too much on all of the negative sides of life, you're totally missing out on all of the positive, because the weather is never perfect, is it? Like right now, it's raining really bad. I'm in Florida and we have a hurricane that's coming. It's going to get live up in here really soon. Life is all about ebb and flow. The weather's not always going to be perfect. It's the people who know how to weather the storm that are the ones that succeed in life. So you can expect that you are going to encounter challenges as a denture wearer. You had problems with your teeth and you ended up losing them, or you're about to lose them. Everything up to this point in life has showed you that life is not perfect, it's not always fair, and there's going to be times when you have to deal with things that you don't necessarily want to deal with. But if you commit to keeping a positive attitude, like really tell yourself, no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to deal with it. Pain, loose-fitting dentures, sore spots, bone shards, swelling, teeth that look horrific, whatever the case may be. I fully believe that that's why my journey has been pretty smooth, because I never really gave too much attention to the problems that I encountered. I always just focused on getting through it. And I didn't dwell too long. So I think that's why I've had such an easy ride. I hope all of this helps you. I'm not trying to minimize anything that you might be going through. Trust me, I know I've gone through all of it. I experienced so much pain in my life, so many negative thoughts. I've gone through depression. I've had anxiety, panic attacks, like you name it, I've been there. So I know how it feels, but I'm telling you, there is a better way to live life. And that way is to keep that positive attitude and just plow through the issues. Get that determination, get that grit, and tell yourself that you can push through anything that comes your way in life. And I believe that you can. So with all of that said, make sure you follow me on Instagram. My name is kalinjax over there, and find me on Facebook. It is Christy Lind, and I wear dentures, iweardentures.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you get all of my updates straight to your inbox. And stay tuned for next week's installment of my Confident Denture Wearers series. And you guys take care.